All right, moments away now from the president set to speak at a memorial service for those 14 killed in that blast. Technically 15 include someone who died in a rescue effort just last night. It gets to be a complicated story, but more than a dozen who have been killed as a result of this. This fertilizer plant, keep in mind, though, there are 6,000 like it across the country. And that has a lot of folks very worried. Could it happen anywhere again? So Heartland Institute's Lehr on how to stop this type of tragedy from happening again. I was surprised by the sheer number of similar plants out there. Not that they're all equally vulnerable, but what do you look for? How are they scrutinized for safety? That sort of thing.
Well, Neil, let's set the record straight. First of all, these were not fertilizer manufacturing plants. These were fertilizer and grain storage facilities. There was no manufacturing, but they're still under the aegis of a half a dozen different regulatory agencies, EPA, the Homeland Security, Occupational Safety and Health, as well as the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And these facilities were not inspected on a regular basis as they should have been. But the real tragedy has been that the emergency volunteer fire people were not trained from their different areas in the various facilities they might be asked to come and battle a fire. So they had no knowledge of what was there and what a fire could bring forward, and they ran into a fire situation, treating it without the knowledge that they should have had. Now the facility was surrounded by schools, rest homes and the like, but that facility was there all by itself 50 years ago before the area moved out and was built up around it. Generally, if we talk about a fertilizer plant, they're in industrial areas where everybody knows exactly what's going on, and regular civilization doesn't butt up against it, as in this case. But again, this was not manufacturing, it was storing, and it was a tragedy of errors because a litany of things that should have been done in terms of inspections and training were not done.
You think it can happen again?
I think that it can happen again, but I think it will not happen again because every fertilizer storage and grain storage facility where there have been explosions in the past, this is not the first, they will now redouble their efforts to make sure they're inspected as exactly as they should be, and to be absolutely positive that all first responders are trained as to what could occur if a fire did occur in the plant. Also, we don't know how the fire started, but there's some feeling that it was pallets were set on fire. No one in their right mind would start a fire anywhere near a fertilizer storage facility. That was crazy to begin with. So I think that this is a warning that we're not going to see this happen again.
But the fact is, whether stored or manufactured, fertilizer, and anytime you hear a fire at a plant where it's stored, you've got to deal with this very differently than you would, let's say, just a building fire or a house fire, right?
Absolutely, Neil. This is hazardous material. It has to be treated as hazardous material, and it's included as such in all the regulatory agencies that are supposed to inspect it and report on it. No question, Neil, that the tender care that should have been given the facility was not. And I'm sure there are other facilities that have been as lax around the country, and we'll see an absolute tripling of effort to go out there and make sure another West Texas does not happen anytime in the future.
Real quickly, in terms of whether those facilities, the thousands of them that either are manufacturing plants or outright just storage facilities, who's in charge of it? The local towns, the local companies that house them? What?
Well, to begin with, you have Occupational Safety and Health, you have U.S. EPA, you have the U.S. Department of Agriculture, you have Homeland Security. The overlapping regulation on these facilities is huge. On top of that, you have the regulations of a local area and state regulations. So you have more regulation than you need.
Jay, thank you very, very much. All right, we're going to take you to Waco, Texas.